Under grey skies and the unrelenting hum of downtown Chicago, hundreds of protesters converged, their voices echoing through the canyons of glass and steel. It was a scene of both defiance and desperation. From the heart of the Loop to the steps of City Hall, chants rippled through the air as demonstrators raised their banners high. The message was unmistakable: Chicago would not stay silent. The protest had been sparked by the arrival of the Texas National Guard and agents from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, federal reinforcements ordered into the city under what many here are calling an act of intimidation. It is October 8th, 2025, a date now etched into the city's turbulent political calendar. Across the crowd, homemade signs swayed in the wind: no Trump, no troops. The fall of the Trump fascist regime. Some messages were scrawled in anger, others in heartbreak. One banner read simply, "Hands off Chicago." It was less a slogan than a plea, a demand that the federal government step back and allow the city to govern itself. Among the demonstrators stood Jessie Fuentes, a young Chicago city councillor who had herself been arrested by ICE just a week earlier. Her voice carried over the crowd with conviction and fury. To protect our immigrant siblings, to be in our neighbourhoods, to protect our children, to protect our parents, she said. There is nothing wrong with being black and brown in the city of Chicago. That sentence, "There is nothing wrong with being black and brown in the city of Chicago," would soon become the rallying cry of the day. Protesters began chanting it, repeating it, painting it across banners and social media posts. It was more than a declaration of solidarity. It was a rejection of fear. The National Guard's arrival, reportedly to assist with security coordination, was viewed by many residents as an overreach of federal power. For Chicagoans who have lived through years of racial profiling, mass deportations and street raids, the sight of uniformed troops rolling into their neighbourhoods was a chilling reminder of history repeating itself. Some compared it to the city's worst moments, from the police crackdowns of the 1968 Democratic Convention to the Black Lives Matter confrontations of the early 2020s. As the crowd grew, the energy intensified. A protester dressed as the Statue of Liberty stood at the front line, her torch replaced by a placard that read, "Betrayed." Behind her, the Trump Tower loomed, a cold monolith of glass bearing the former president's name, glinting under the overcast sky. Cameras captured the symbolism perfectly: liberty betrayed in the shadow of power. Another sign read, "Making America Grotesque Always," a bitter twist on the famous slogan. Others carried crude but forceful language. Fan ICE shouted through megaphones as police bicycles rolled past. The tension between demonstrators and law enforcement simmered, but for the most part, the day remained peaceful. Then came the chant that unified the march. A young woman with a bullhorn began to shout, "We want justice, and you said how?" The crowd roared back, "ICE out of our streets now." Over and over they repeated it, a rhythmic pulse that echoed through the loop like a heartbeat. "ICE out of our streets now. This is what community looks like." For a few moments, it felt as though the city itself was speaking. Among the protesters were teachers, sanitation workers, students, mothers with strollers, and veterans of past movements. Their causes varied: immigration rights, racial justice, labor rights, transgender equality, but their struggle was collective. It was that very word, collective, that Jessie Fuentes emphasized again when she took the microphone a second time. "While they are stopping gender-affirming care in our hospitals," she said, her voice cracking slightly with emotion, "allowing corporations to roll back diversity and inclusion, making sure that they take away the rights of citizens and immigrants in our city, they are trying to make us run in every single direction so that we are not organized. But remember, one of our struggles is our collective struggle." The crowd erupted, flags waved, American, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Palestinian, each representing a thread in the fabric of Chicago's diverse identity. Fuentes raised her hand and continued, "The freedom of Palestine, the defense of our immigrant community, standing up for trans women, that is our collective struggle in the city of Chicago." Her words rippled through the crowd like electricity. The connection between local injustice and global resistance was being drawn in real time, a reminder that the issues of Chicago's streets were inseparable from the struggles unfolding around the world. The demonstrators began marching through downtown, chanting in English and Spanish, "ICE out," and "Fuera ICE." the two languages blending into one defiant voice. From every direction, more people joined in. Small business owners who left their shops, nurses on break, Uber drivers who pulled over to honk in solidarity. It was as if the city itself was swelling with resistance. Helicopters hovered overhead. Police officers stood in quiet rows at intersections, their expressions unreadable. Some residents watched from apartment windows, waving flags or filming on their phones. Others stood silently, hands clasped, nodding in quiet agreement. For all its noise and emotion, this protest was not spontaneous. It was the culmination of months of rising anger over federal crackdowns and what many see as the erosion of local authority under the Trump administration's second term, when the president announced he was deploying National Guard units to support law enforcement in securing urban centers from lawless elements. Chicago's mayor responded defiantly, calling it an occupation of an American city by its own military. That statement, occupation of an American city, hit a nerve. Within hours, calls for mass mobilization spread across social networks. By dawn the next morning, the city was preparing for one of its largest demonstrations since the George Floyd protests of 2020. And yet, for all the intensity, there was also art. Music played from portable speakers. Local bands performed impromptu protest songs. A jazz trio near the river improvised a melody that blended "We Shall Overcome" with the rhythm of cumbia. The protest wasn't just political, it was cultural, emotional, human. Throughout the day, speakers took turns addressing the crowd. Faith leaders urged calm but courage. Union organizers called for strikes. Immigrant rights advocates spoke of families torn apart by raids. At one point, a teacher stepped up and shouted, "They call it security, we call it suppression." The crowd answered with applause. Chicago has always been a city of resistance, from the labor strikes of the 19th century to the civil rights marches of the 20th. Its streets have seen countless movements rise and fall, but today's gathering carried something distinct, an intersection of causes, a blending of generations. Teenagers in hoodies marched beside retirees in wheelchairs, black, brown, white, Asian. Together, they filled the streets with color and sound. Near Federal Plaza, a mural was being painted in real time. The artist, using bold red and blue strokes, painted the outline of a hand reaching upward. Inside it, the words, "We belong." As the camera panned out, the mural seemed to stretch endlessly, capturing the spirit of a city unwilling to be divided. The arrival of ICE vehicles on the perimeter triggered brief scuffles. Protesters locked arms, forming human chains to prevent arrests. The police, though tense, largely held back. It was clear that both sides understood how fragile the situation was. No one wanted a repeat of the violent clashes seen in other cities. As evening approached, the chants took on a different tone, less rage, more resolve. Families brought candles. The streets, once filled with shouting, now glowed softly in the light of thousands of small flames. The Statue of Liberty figure returned, standing silently before the Trump Tower as the crowd sang, "This Little Light of Mine." A journalist asked one of the protesters what message she hoped to send. The young woman, draped in a Mexican flag, answered simply that we are not afraid. Not anymore. For many, that statement encapsulated the mood of the day. Fear transforming into defiance, despair into unity. Across the city, murals, graffiti, and social posts would later echo that message, not afraid, not anymore. Jessie Fuentes, whose arrest had galvanized the movement, spoke again before the protests began to disperse. She thanked the crowd and reminded them that their power did not end with a march. "The streets are ours," she said, "but so are the schools, the workplaces, the ballot boxes. Every place we stand is a place we can fight for." Her final words, "We are the city. We are Chicago," drew a thunderous response. The chants began again, but this time slower, more deliberate. "We are Chicago." The protest wound down with a sense of both exhaustion and achievement. The National Guard remained stationed at several points in the city, but their presence seemed almost irrelevant by nightfall. The power, it seemed, had shifted, at least for the day, back into the hands of the people. Local media would later estimate the turnout at more than 15,000. Federal authorities called it a significant disturbance. Activists called it a declaration. And for many Chicagoans, it was something even deeper, a moment when their city stood up and spoke for itself. As the night deepened, the last remaining protesters walked past the riverfront, their signs damp from the evening drizzle. One cardboard placard, left leaning against a lamppost, read, "There is nothing wrong with being black and brown in the city of Chicago." The ink had begun to run, but the message remained clear. From the air, the city looked peaceful again. Streetlights glowing, traffic moving, the skyline as majestic as ever. But beneath that calm surface, something had shifted. The marchers had gone home, but the movement had not. It was now alive in every neighborhood, every school, every kitchen table conversation. For Jessie Fuentes and those who stood beside her, this was not just a protest. It was the beginning of a campaign, a declaration that the struggle for dignity, equality, and belonging would not be silenced by fear or force. And in that sense, the story of Chicago's protest is not just about one city's defiance, it is about America's reckoning with itself. A reckoning written in chants, in candlelight, and in the courage of those who stood unarmed, unafraid, beneath the shadow of power, declaring that they too belong.
While they are stopping gender-affirming care in our hospitals, allowing corporations to roll back diversity and inclusion, making sure that they take away the rights of citizens and immigrants in our city, they are trying to make us run in every single direction so that we are not organized. But remember, one of our struggle is our collective struggle. The freedom of Palestine, the defense of our immigrant community, standing up for trans women is our collective struggle in the city.
What do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. What? The Chicago Coalition Against the Trump Agenda. The message. Our communities. Let's be clear. White.
Just grab
well, I got some for you right now. You can take it.
I never use it.
That's $1 million right there.
How about no war on immigrants?
Immigrants are here to stay.
Trump, escucha, estamos en la lucha.
ICE, escucha, estamos en la lucha.
Chicago under attack. What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do? She admitted on national TV that ICE agent has doubled down on his racist, white supremacist agenda.
We don't want them here, and we know they don't want to be here either. This is serious federal sanctioned gun violence. Always leave off the record. We have an army.
Immigrant rights organizations, black organizations, faith groups.
We want justice, you say how?
ICE off our streets now!
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 Trump, no, ICE. This is what community looks like!
Tell me what community looks like!
This is what community looks like!
Tell me what
Never be defeated!
the people united will never be. Jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Unido. Pueblo unido jamás será vencido. The people united will never be.
Want justice, you say how?
You want justice, you say how?
ICE off our streets now!
ICE off our streets now!
ICE off of our streets!
ICE off of our streets!
No justice, no peace!
No justice, no peace!
Aquí estamos! To bring in stupid ass troops in our city? When they come, we don't.
siblings, to be in our neighborhood, to protect our children, to protect our parents, and to make sure that day laborers get the opportunity to bring money home to feed their families. There is nothing wrong with being black and brown in the city of Chicago.